been around and know what I'm saying. So it's not a fan base, man. You know, look at club. You know what I mean? You either with it or you're not with it. Here's to the story. Big up yours. And of course, big up the pub. Now, violence is more than women and children. I needed to understand that. I needed to understand that when I start out saying violence is more than women and children, this is not to minimize, to lessen, to remove the impact on violence against women and children. But a violent society is a violent society. Jamaica is not a country that is violent where women and children are concerned, and that's the end of it. Our animals, or the elderly. Jamaica has been for decades a violent society. So let's look at a basic reality, right? We've focused a lot on violence against women and children, which we should do, no doubt. But what does it necessarily say? Violence against men is not necessarily a part of violence. If you have a violent society, you're going to have damage, death, maiming, all of this. Constant attacks, feuds, disagreements with men, women, and children. Why? The more violence there is with men, eventually, what we call sometimes the casualties of war or the ramifications of violence generally, you're going to have the impact with women and children. So when we keep having campaigns that speak about violence against men, no, we don't have a campaign named Violence Against Men. We have a campaign that says violence against men and children. Well, women and children. How are we even putting a category to violence? How many men have been killed in this country over the last 5 years? Over the last 10 years, 15, 20 years, 25 years? Go as much as you want. This is a country that has been known at one point as the murder capital, not just of the region, but in the world. We've been known for quite some time. Yes, we're far better now. But the reality is, we're still talking about violence against women and children. If we expect to get a solution to violence, you know what we need to do? We need to focus on cutting down violence, period. The less violence you have, the less impacted women and children will be. There is no society I can think of that has high levels of violence, that has never had violence against women and children. So if at the end of a year you have 1,000 murders, out of that you might find 50 children, 100 women. Do the maths. If you have 1,200 murders, and altogether you have 50 women, 30 children. If we're being realistic and we want to tackle violence, if we focus year after year on violence against women and children, are we deciding that we want to simply just leave the men to just be violent? Because hear what? It doesn't really matter if the men are violent. They can continue to be violent all they want. All we need to do is protect women and children. How do you insulate women and children against violence when you have a violent society? Just explain it to me. When you have drive-by shootings, when you have domestic violence, when you have community gang war, how do you prevent the issue of violence against women and children? Oh, reprisal killings. And we could go on and on and on and on. And we have a thing called dead left war, right? We have war from 19 how long. People go prison and come back. The list is long. A lot of it can be accidental. In the end, why don't we focus on making sure that we get a campaign that is against violence? If we were to wake up tomorrow morning and find that violence, man and man in a war, if that came literally to an end, I will challenge anybody. The numbers where violence against women and children are concerned would also automatically be reduced. Why? Oh, you want us to go into the academia of it now and bring data? If man now war man, that means a man at peace. If man at peace, a woman war with. Just think about it, man. If man at peace, woman war with. And then again, are we then going to suggest that, oh, the only time we have violence against women and children is man? Also, all of a sudden we're going to remove the fact that many times women have issues with women? Are we going to have some little fantasy world that we live in that children have not become violent against children? No, let's not do that. We want a less than violent society, a non-violent society. Not just for women and children. Unless, of course, you're suggesting that we want women and children to live safely and peacefully and exist without any disturbance, while men can continue to be murdered at random and at will. Because, hey, what's the big deal if we lose 500 men, 1,000 men? Life goes on, right? That's not a realistic argument. And what are we saying when we just simply turn a blind eye to the men who are involved in violence and focus on protecting women and children? Are we suggesting that the lives of men have very little to do with the sustenance, support, and sustainability of our society? Is that what we're saying? Are we to believe that as long as our women and children are fine, that society will continue to exist and procreate, and we'll just have a wonderful paradise? Come on. Human lives are human lives. Let's focus on being a less than violent or possibly non-violent society. And by extension, identify the problems as differently as you need to. But do not fool yourselves into thinking that focusing on violence against women and children is a solution to violence in a society, or that doing it that way is going to bring you the kinds of results that you want. It has not worked for decades, and I promise you, it will not work going forward. Let us decide that we want to be less than violent people. That's the way you want your society to run. Here's to the story. That's Rodney's story.